ASAP for Classroom Sanity here. My name is Holly Saporito, and I know as we're all getting into the distance learning ins and outs and all of the requirements from everybody's district, I know we have a lot of questions about lesson framework and what exactly should be in an online lesson, or maybe you're getting a lot of emails or things from parents saying, this is a lot of work or things like that. And so I wanted to kind of go over some tips that I learned while being a virtual teacher. And so let's go to my screen here. Okay, so these are the 5 main things that I kind of wanted to talk about for lesson framework. So face-to-face hours versus online hours, how those are different. Essential assignments, recording essentials, classroom assignments on Google, and hands-on while still maintaining our distance learning integrity. So face-to-face hours, like if you meet with your kids 45 minutes every day, Monday through Friday, or you are on 90-minute blocks and you see your kids 90 minutes every other day, that does not mean 45 minutes every day online learning or 90 minutes every other day in the online world. They do not cross over. It's not, apples and apples. So what I like to do is create assignments for roughly 3 hours a week. And I know what you're saying, 3 hours? What? No. They need a lot more. Well, if they have 8 subjects, that's already 24 hours. In an online environment of learning is kind of worth more of its weight than in the school. In school, we have a lot of different breaks, we have a lot of different transitions, and it really kind of equals out if you think of 3 hours per week per subject. Now, that's not saying if you do 3.5, oh my goodness, right? It's going to be a little bit dependent on the subject, but what we might plan for as 15 minutes for as adults, or what we would give 15 minutes for in a classroom where we're there structuring it for them, is going to take them probably double to triple the amount of time, because they don't have us walking around the classroom. They don't have us keeping that pace, and they do have a lot more distractions at home. They might have other siblings, they might have parents, they might just not have the same attention span because the framework of a classroom is not there. So it will take them longer than it would have in the brick and mortar classroom. A lot of times as we're planning things as teachers, I have just noticed for myself and others that I've worked with that we kind of fall into this, filling out this survey or filling out this or that, it should really only take them this amount of time. And that's not necessarily the case. We are meeting a variety of needs in a distance learning environment, including all of our SPED umbrella, our gifted and talented, our 504, dyslexia, all of that. So remember, face-to-face hours, they have us there. They have us tapping on the desk. They have us refocusing. They have proximity control. Online, they don't. And so pad that time. I have learned it's typically almost double. Okay? Another thing is to push out one assignment at a time on your platform. So for me, we're using Google Classroom. I think that's kind of a common thing for districts to use. Push out just the one assignment for that week. This is completely new to students, so don't push out, well, this is what we're going to do for the next 2 weeks, and then it's self-paced. We do want to have the flexibility and grace as teachers to say, this is what we're learning. If it's a day or so late, that's fine and dandy. We're going to get it all turned in together eventually. But if they see all these assignments popping up on their feed, they're going to get overwhelmed and they're going to shut down before they even begin. Now, with that being said, I do have a HyperDoc on my Google Classroom, which I'll pull up in a minute, so students can work ahead if they want. But at one time, I'll push out, like tomorrow, I'll push out our assignment that's due, in 2 or 3 days. And then I'll push out another assignment and give them time like that. That also gives us time as teachers. We just need the next assignment up, right? We don't necessarily know how long we're going to be distance learning, and we're still learning tips and tricks and how you want to manipulate and use your resources for your benefit. So don't feel like you have to have all 15 assignments done, right? Just one at a time. Think about your first year teaching, how we did one assignment at a time. Okay, with that talking about one assignment at a time, let's get back to our essential assignments. What is really needed to master that TEK, Common Core, or state standard? What do we really need? In the classroom, we can come up with different fun activities and extend all the learning and have it be this fun, adventurous thing. While we're transitioning, right, let's cut back to our essentials. Okay, what do we need? We don't necessarily need all 5 papers done, right? We might just need 2 done. And so that's going to be up to you and your team as what is the essential knowledge. What do we need to get students met so that they can continue to be successful in their education career? Not all students have the same materials as home. So saying, oh, just jot it down on a paper and screenshot it to me. They might not have paper. Saying, oh, just do a quick PowerPoint. Well, maybe their technology doesn't work that day, right? So I always have a variety of options of how to do the assignment. I have my standard of what I need done. I might need information over infant nutrition, but I'm not going to care whether they do that in a Prezi, in a Google Slide, in a Google Doc, if they handwrite it and take a picture, right? Don't be focused on the how or the media, get focused on the what. And then you can always still come up with the fun or extended learning activities as extra credit if you have the time and your students have the resources. Recording essentials. I made a video over Recording 101 that goes over the tips and tricks. A few of those are to always check your mic, always face a solid wall. You don't necessarily want things walking behind you because when you're recording or you're live with students, you don't necessarily know what's going on back here. And if we don't watch them, you might not catch it. So always try to keep something solid back there where, you know, things can't just appear, and that will make it easier for you. I like to keep my videos as close as possible to 15 minutes or less. People tune out. Students don't need an hour lecture. Okay, they need to hear the main topics. They have your notes, your Google Slides, your PDFs, whatever you're pushing out. And so we need to teach them how to highlight, how to become self-advocates of, you know, saving documents where they can access them. Students are going to drown out from a recording. Okay, again, they do not have us there. That proximity control is gone. It is non-existent. It would be great if their parents were there, but a lot of parents are still going to work, or they don't really know how to do this, or they're overwhelmed themselves. So keep it to 15 minutes if possible for the recording. Now, if you're talking about being live with students and you have an hour block with that, that's great because you can do different activities with them, you can show them different things, and then you can still post that recording for anybody who can't be there. And that's fine. But if it's just you and the material, it's best to keep those as close to 15 minutes as possible or lower. A lot of people are like, oh, do you use this app or do you use this app to record? My personal preference is Screencast-O-Matic. I like it because you can record up to 15 minutes free. You can do a little bit of editing and things if you need. But I would encourage you not to necessarily learn something else new if you're just getting into the basics of this. Google Meet is something a lot of districts are using for your tutorials or meeting with students. So if you create a Google Meet and open it, and it's only you in there. You can share your screen and record in there, and it automatically downloads into your Google Drive, and you can share that link. So if you're already using Google Meets, I would continue to use that for your recordings right now. If you feel like you can take on something else, or you pick up technology quickly, or you're confident, I would say Screencast-O-Matic. The other one I hear a lot of, and a lot of positive reviews, is Screencastify, and that's something a lot of districts already have as well. So those would be my recommendations. Okay, so Google Class assignments, post it as an assignment, because then it comes up on their calendar as well. You can also put due dates. You just have a lot of options within Google Classroom assignments. I talked about posting one at a time so that they don't see 15 million at once. Now you can schedule Google Class. So say you have it done, you can schedule it to post so you don't have to worry about that. You can also schedule multiple classes. Well, you can post to multiple classes at once, or you can schedule per class. I personally did ask, put in a little feedback tool on Google to ask them if we could schedule multiple classes at once. And so maybe they'll roll that update out sooner than later. Make your worksheets that you would have at school into a Google form or a Google Doc or a Jamboard or something. Anytime students will have to print something and then take a picture of it and upload it, it's going to be more cumbersome. If that's what they want to do, that's great. If it's not, think about some of your options to make your printouts digital. And I have a whole bunch of those on my student driven technology page. And then of course, have your hyperdocument there for those who want to work ahead if that's something you do for your students. That is by no means something you need to do, but that is something I have available for my students, but I've had that available even prior to distance learning. And then hands-on while distance learning. I hear this a lot, that worksheets are hands-on, or I like being in the classroom because I can give them this packet and this is hands-on because our hands are touching it. Packets and worksheets are not hands-on. Just because their hand is touching it, that's not what we mean when we say hands-on in education. Hands-on is them doing something with the information, not just copying it or filling in the blank, but let's really get their muscle memory going with hands-on. That could be virtual field trips. A lot of companies are giving virtual field trips for free right now, and I'm going to post those as well on my Teacher Toolbox page. They're also all over Facebook and everything like that. Think about something they can do with the material. Instead of filling in the blank on this worksheet, maybe they can give you a Flipgrid video that's 30 seconds of this is how I'm going to use this information, or this is the key point. So think about digital presentations, both maybe where they create a digital presentation to show you, or they talk about it, right? The more we hear, the more we see, the more we do, the more we remember. Filling in a blank, having that tangible worksheet is not hands-on learning. I know at one point that is what we considered hands-on learning, but let's get a little bit more creative and let's make it easier on you as the teacher. There's a great book called Don't Work Harder Than Your Students out there. I read it my second year when I was getting burnt out, and it talks about how use your resources to not only become a stronger teacher and create stronger learners, but to ease what you need to do in order to prep for things. Okay, so please reach out to me if you need or if you have any questions. I'm more than willing to meet with teachers. I've been there. I've been frustrated with online learning. And I know we all have different requirements for districts, so I might not be able to give you the perfect answer, but I might be able to direct you to a resource that makes your life a little bit easier. And that is my goal in creating this blog, is to help teachers find a community of teachers and to find resources that work for them, both in the classroom when we're there with our students in a physical environment and when we're with our students virtually in a distance learning environment. So reach out with any questions. Please keep visiting my blog and sharing my blog, and I am here for you. Again, this is Holly Saporito with a SAP for Classroom Sanity.